tonight I want to try for you guys something different. It's still Scotch, and it is a, how they refer to it, blended malt Scotch whiskey. I'm gonna go ahead and start pouring a little bit in this one. I've got this one poured. It's been in there 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and it's got about 5% volume of water in it per whatever's in there. So about a teaspoon of water. I added just about, well, probably half a teaspoon of water. Okay. Love this stuff for one thing. It's very good. Now, I'll let y'all see if you can get a good look at that bottle there. I didn't know anything about this bottle. I went into Plaza, I think it's Wine and Spirits here, not here in Wichita, I don't live in Wichita, but when I was in Wichita. And I talk to the guy when I go in there every once in a while, and we talk, and very informative young man. I like listening to him. He's competent, very competent what he does. So we talked about this. It was called Blue Hanger 10th Limited Release, bottled 2014. It's a blended malt Scotch whiskey, Berry Brothers and Rudd, natural color, non-chill filtered. His supplier, distributor, had this on their list, and he worked out a deal where he could sell, if he could get it cheap enough to sell it, because people aren't going to. He understands that people's not going to recognize this for what it is, and if he can get cheap enough that he can move it at a reasonable price, that he would buy it, and they worked out a deal. I'm sorry, I'll digress just a bit. This 45% alcohol by volume, 45.6%. So he got it. He's sold out now. I know Scotch Test Dummies have a bottle. I don't know if they have one or two, but I know they got a bottle. They shop at a lot of the same stores I do when I go to Wichita. They shop more stores probably than I do in Wichita. Excuse me. So anyway, this is very interesting. So he told me I would probably like it based on my profile, things I bought. So I went ahead and purchased it. Let me read to you guys the back a little bit on this, because it's kind of important leading to the story, I think. Blue Hanger 10th Limited Release. Berry Brothers and Rudd can trace its origins back to 1698, when the widow Bourne founded her shop opposite St. James Palace. Today, the present generation of Berries and Rudds continue to manage the family-owned business from the same premises at 3 St. James Street. New paragraph here. So called because the shade of clothes he wore was, as a young man, William Blue Hanger, Lord Coleraine, was a loyal customer of Berry's at the end of the 18th century, the best dressed man of his day. This exceptional and very limited blended malt is just as impeccably turned out, with bewitching aromas of orange peel, vanilla, and peat smoke. The palate is luscious and complex, leading to the fruity, smoky finale. I've not had any experience with Berry Brothers and Rudd off the top of my head. This is the first bottle that I'm aware of that I bought that they've had. And to say I'm impressed is probably an understatement. I've really enjoyed this bottle. I've had it 2 months. When I first got it, I will have to admit, the ABV really came across. It had a lot of spirit drive, and without the water, it was a bit harsh. All the flavors were still there, but once you added the water, it really began to shine. And even now with the water, it shines. Now I'm capable of drinking it straight after a bit of oxidation has happened without water. But this has a very different note between the two, with water and without water. and with time in the glass, believe it or not. It changes a lot. It's very interesting as a Scotch. Now, the young man put together a list of what it has in it, and he did the research on this himself. I did not do this research, so I have to defer to him and the research he did. And so we'll take it for what it is. It is very interesting, though. Now, it says bottled on here in 2014. On the research, it says bottled 2015. That could be a typing error or whatever. But that's the only thing I find different. And if he types like I do and gets happy fingers once in a while and didn't proofread like I do most of the time, and I make a lot of mistakes. That's why I married a beautiful woman that proofread very well. All right, back to this. I've digressed far enough. The base of 10th Blue Hanger blend is 3 sherry butts filled in 2007, containing malts sourced by Bunnahabhain, Glenallachie, Tamdhu, Glenfarclas, and Glengoyne. These 5 malts were batched as new make, which means they were all put together as a new make in 3 barrels and aged for 7 or 8 years. So it's 3 sherry butts. If they got them as barrels, sherry butts are bigger than barrels. So we're talking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 into 3. Numbers probably work. They've lost some due to angel share. I digress again. The other contents are as follows. 1 sherry butt of 1987 Bunnahabhain, 27 to 28 years aged. 1 hogshead of 1988 Bunnahabhain, 26 to 27 years. 2 hogshead of 1996 Westport, 18 to 19 years old. This he has in parentheses a secretly Glenmorangie. 1 hogshead of 1997 Mortlock, 17 to 18 years old. And 1 hogshead of 2007 peated Bunnahabhain Moyne, 7 to 8 years old. So we have everything in here from 7 years old to 28 years old. So you have a wide variety that's went into this blend to make it what it is. We have 9 casks in total after batching and proofing down. It produced 4,398 non-chill filtered bottles. And I don't know if I mentioned or not, this is not a natural color, non-chill filtered. I paid, I think it was $70 after tax, right around there for this. Worth every penny. We look at the one without water. Oh, it's a golden straw color. Very slow legs, slow developing, very slow tearing. Doesn't run as individuals. It comes down as occasional individuals, but it builds a lot of tears right up along the edge. It's very viscous. Never did see if there's anything actually floating in it. Nothing I see. It probably had barrier filtration of some sort. But it's non-chill filtered. And this one, the notes on the bottle do come through in the nose and the palate. I'll tell you that right now. There's other things there. But the nose and the palate, the 3 things it lists are the 3 things you get. I get them bright as day. I get the vanilla, I get the peat, obviously, and you get the orange. And to me, it's orange peel. I don't know if they had it listed as, oh yeah, orange peel. Just like when you're peeling that orange, you smell the inside of that peel. Oh, it smells good when you're about to eat a good orange, especially like a blood orange or something of that nature. Those are my new favorite oranges. I've really taken a like to them. There is still a bit of an alcohol nose bite to this, so you got to be careful getting your nose in there. But there is the baking spices and wood. You get an unmistakable old wood note. And you can get the youth. The youth in that wine is 7 years old, peated. You do get some of the maltiness off of that as well. But you get the baking spices as well with this. And I don't know how to describe that old wood smell to you guys. You just know it when you smell it. I mean, it's just once you've had an older whiskey and you've smelled that sort of tannic, oaky, distant, it's leather, sort of a leather smell to it. It's going for the palate. This is on non-watered. The vanilla on the tip of the tongue. Think buttercream vanilla icing. But before the sweetness has a chance to build and start dominating, the peat washes it out. The peat causes the change. And it's earthy peat. You're not getting the classic seashore and all that other stuff. It's more of an earthy, dark soil peat and smokiness. Very clean fire on the smokiness. And then it finishes with citrus and dark fruits, raisins, plums, dates, and that baking spice. It finishes right in there. And that's in the tail end finish. Medium long to long finish. It's still going on. That finish is still there. It is drying, but not an intense suck your mouth dry, but it is slightly drying to your mouth. Your mouth begins to water to compensate for that dryness. Still the finish is there. It's very interesting, very good stuff. I'm really impressed with it. Let's go ahead and do the one with water. Now it's probably been, I'm going to guess, probably 23, 24 minutes. Again, excuse me for the burp. I'm so sorry, excuse me. We'll quit. We lose the bite of the alcohol on the nose at all. The vanilla and the vanilla and the orange peel really come through in the nose on this time. There is the smoke there. The smoke's dialed back. Baking spices are faint. And I do get a little bit of raisin on the nose. It's like a box of raisins when you open them. And there's that old leather smell. Again, that vanilla sweetness. Again, the counterbalance with the smoke in this. Neither one lets the other one get too far. Their counterplay in this is really amazingly well balanced, because the sweetness in the water even, and it's even subtler in the water than with that. It makes it even kind of more enjoyable, dialed down with the water, than it does there. But I enjoy it both ways. But the counterbalance between those two in this, it really makes this a delightful dram. I mean, it really does. Baking spices. Baking spices are faint on the end. Finish isn't quite as long. The old wood that shows up more with this one, I think, than actually with this one. We lose the light fruit, the orange peel. I really don't get that in the palate at all with this one. I still get the fruit cake flavors, the raisins and the dates. I still get those. And the dried plums, especially dried plums, not fresh plums, dried plums now. I don't get the seashore with these at all. This is not that kind of peat in this. Not for me anyway, not for my palate. That time, I did get some citrus Mid Palate. Right as the peat starts to die back, there was a little of that orange peel citrus that time that kind of came to the top of the roof of my mouth. Very noticeable this time. I took a bigger dram this time. It changed it. In fact, maybe I should have left the cover off of it. I believe you could charge $30, $40 more for that bottle, and it would sell. I think people are scared of it, don't realize what it is, and they stay away from it. I think that's probably due to misunderstanding of what's actually in here. Without that paper, you're going at this. You're going at it more blindly. I'm going to give it a 90 out of 100. I really enjoy this. I think if it didn't have, still in that fresh, if it didn't have quite the spirit burn, I think I can move it up a point or two. Even though I expect the spirit burn's a good thing, it actually detracts still slightly on the without water and without letting it set. You take that away from that one, I believe, then it would be a solid 92. But we're going to stay at 90, which is a great score. This is good stuff. If they weren't sold out of it, I would probably buy another bottle. I don't know how hard it will even get to replace. I've never seen it before. Probably won't see it again. Well, guys, that covers my review on this. If you come across this and you like peaty whiskeys, this is a buy, guys. This is a definite buy. With that, I'm going to sign off. Remember, everybody, the spirit in your glass isn't running from you. Take your time, sip and enjoy it. You'll be better for it. Everyone, have a good evening.